In this video, we will demonstrate how to back up the SpectroServer database. We will go through how to schedule automated backups and how to perform a manual backup as well. The SpectroServer database is responsible for storing the models created from network items monitored by Spectrum. Scheduling a daily backup of the SpectroServer database is recommended to ensure minimal data loss in the event of a failure. To configure the SpectroServer database backup to run automatically on a specific day and time, open Spectrum one-click and navigate to the Explorer tab. Select the landscape name, for example, EDU Spectrum. Then click on the Universe model. With the universe loaded in the Contents window, click the Topology tab and select the VNM model. In the Component Details window, click the Information tab and expand the Online Database Backup subview. In the Online Database Backup subview, configure the following settings as needed. In the Automatic Backups field, set the field to Enabled. This activates the automatic backups. In the Backup Interval field, specify the interval between automatic backups in hours and minutes. The default recommended backup interval is 24 hours. This sets up the backup to run at the same time every day. In the Next Backup Date and Time field, define the date and time the backup should run next. This determines the first time the backup will run, and then the backup will automatically run every 24 hours after that. The Backup Compression field is enabled by default, and it is recommended to compress the backup files to make sure there is enough disk space available for future backups. We will take a look at disk space in another setting. When compression is turned on, the compressed files are saved with a .gz extension. The database backup file is stored in the compressed file and will need to be extracted before a restore is performed. Disable backup compression to leave backups uncompressed. In the Prefix for Backup File Name field, specify a prefix for the backup file name. The default prefix is DB_. The system accepts any character string that creates a valid file name for the system the SpectroServer is running on. Clear the field to not add a prefix to the file name. In the Backup Directory field, specify the directory where the backup files are stored. The default directory is in the SSDB backup directory in the Spectrum installation directory. It is highly recommended to use a local directory on the SpectroServer and not write the backup file to a drive on a different server. The latency of writing to another server can cause issues with the backup. In the Minimum Required Disk Space field, specify the minimum disk space that must be available to initiate an online backup. The default threshold value is 20 megabytes. If an automatic backup is initiated when the available disk space falls below this threshold, a low disk space alarm is generated. At this point, the backup is configured and will execute for the first time on the specified date. With these settings configured, we can also run a manual backup at this time. A manual backup is also called an on-demand backup. Manual backups are often run right before a system update. To run the manual backup, simply click the Begin Backup Now button. The backup utility will use the settings from the automated backup to determine the file name prefix, the backup directory, and so on. To verify that the backups are running successfully, open a terminal window on the SpectroServer and navigate to the directory where the backup files are stored. List the files in the backup directory and verify the date and time of the latest file. And we can see our backup file we just created is there, so the backup ran successfully. The next backup will run automatically based on the day and time specified in the Next Backup Date and Time field. This concludes our demonstration of how to back up a Spectrum SpectroServer database.